All right, so this is actually for my team in design and SMM. So I'm trying to teach a little bit of how to update the design. For example, this already looks okay, good. A client has approved it, for example. Just change a couple of things here. So since I don't have a permission from the client in terms of having this video in on my YouTube channel, but generally I hide everything relating to her personally or to the client account. So anyhow, the first thing you have to do, for example, when you are going to update a design that was already pre-made, is to duplicate the page, for example, and then you'll edit the second copy. On every page, you can actually write a page title. So, for example, that was the original one, then updated, back version 2, for example, if that was the name of the original copy. That way you don't have to, change a lot of things. And then you're someone who's working here would be able to look at the copy and know that it's not the original one, that's the updated one. And then you can add comments here if you need someone to do something for the blurbs. For example, you don't have to go to your management stuff. You can write the blurbs here with the hashtags. That way I can see the post and its corresponding blurb, right? So you just write it here and then you can tag me or whatever, but that's an easier way to be able for us to approve the blurb with the post, right? So in this case, this was the original look. So a couple of things that you might be able to do to make sure that your design looks great. This is already based on the brand colors, so that's good. One of the things that you'll able to see is there are a lot of typography here. So it's not per se the design approach, it's more about the way you would organize the typography or the text or the font as you use it. So we're using Puppins here, most of the font or typography. So you're fixed on those font. You can add the second one in this case, or even the weight of the approach, right? So one input that I may have, you may look at it that this is already okay, but at the same time, this is um, kind of off for me because um, I feel like the logo is floating and it's like not part of the design, like it's an afterthought. And then the image, for example, that you used here of the client is positioned in a way that it's okay, but it's also like an afterthought. So we need to be able to improve this a little bit, but mainly the first thing is you section this. You make use of the rule of thirds. This is divided by 3. As you can see here, the width of this area is not the same as the width here. You kind of alternate the sizing of this, which is okay, no problem, no hard rules on that. It's actually a theory in that case, but if you look at the spacing, which area do you want to have more emphasis, right? The details are actually on this area here. So you can move the spacing of this area here a little bit higher so that way you can fit it, and then make sure that the paddings across or all around this area, make sure that you're wrapping it properly, right? You only do adjustments outside of the canvas if you want bleeding or you're printing this one. So the next thing you have to do is to be able to make sure that these are all aligned, for example. So in this case, you just move it and look at the alignment arrows there. Make sure that this is aligned left, everything is aligned left. And then you just group this together, right? Click Control G to group, right? And then this one here at the back, you can click it together with this one, right? And then you click position. And then you align it based on their togetherness, right? For example, when you set middle, it's going to be set on the middle of the background and center of the background. And that in itself just improves your overall look. So I'm just moving this logo away for a bit. And then at the same time, you're having this kind of effect that it's really centered. So now I can play with this. I can go and ungroup this, right? And then I'll click this, and because they have the same weight, it looks kind of, a little bit too in your face, right? So I'm just gonna go make it center in this case. Oh, everything is gonna be centered aligned, right? And then I'm gonna change the weight, right? I'm gonna remove the boldness, and then I'm gonna increase the letter spacing a little bit, and then see what impact it has on the design. And yeah, because of the contrast of everything, there are actually 3 colors on the logo, so you can choose the lighter version or the lighter color in this case, and then just adjust it accordingly. That is more readable, right? So now this area in itself, without looking or blinding yourself at the bottom area, is now looking really, really great, aligned, really good. And then you can concentrate on this area, right? Because I expanded this area, you have more breathing space. Again, just realign the canvas. You added some sort of layer over it, over the image. So just perfectly align it, right? And then again, the same way we did earlier, right? Instead of grouping them together first, I need to kind of align this one, right? Because you wanted to use an image here. I wanted to make sure that that has an emphasis, right? So I'm going to resize the image because that's an important part of your poster, right? And this one, yeah, because I already added the spacing, I can readjust it so that it looks like that. And then, you know, change the line spacing a bit. And now I have a better alignment, clearance, and you can actually use a ruler here. But in my case, the quickest way I do that is just I add something like a rectangle, and then I just delete it later. That's quick for me to do. And then I put it over my alignments, for example, the top of the head of the lady here, and then just move it, the text to align it on that area, and then delete this, right? So just delete this, and now this one here is aligned on the top of the head. Now all I need to do is zoom a little bit in, right? Position this properly, right? I can expand this because there's still a space. That way you can see how it expands the whole width, right? I can still drop this size because this is an off size, 19.8, so a standard size of 18 can be good. Now it looks really great in terms of the alignment, but the forward thinking part here, if I do this, it's going to expand to the 4 lines again. So what I need to do here in this case is expand this a little bit and try to move it downwards. And I can see it's still 4 lines here, so I'm going to use this one here and drop the letter spacing a little bit to make sure that it fits and still looks readable, right? Right? And then you can still go up to the 16, which is the standard size, and then this time improve the letter spacing again, and then highlight everything, go to the 16th here, and as you can see, it's more readable. And then I can still adjust this that it looks like it's cascading, right? There you go. And now space it a little bit. Now on this part here, this is already grouped, but at the same time, look at the sizes. These are not aligned. So again, my little nifty trick I told you earlier, do that, right? So set it in the middle of your reference and then just move it for the reference. The reference here is the icon here of the check mark. So I'm just going to move everything outside, ungroup them first, right? And group. Right, and now that they're positioned, I'm just going to remove the other icons as if that they're not being used. So this is going to be the reference icon here. So I'm just going to move it aligned to the top first. So I'm going to remove my magic ruler there. It's aligned on the top, and then I'm going to align this ruler based on the width, right? Like that, like so. That way I have a general guide of how it looks. And then I'm just going to put this in, right? As you can see, I can align it based on the center and the edges. That way, that's the same size as the one above it, right? Center it, move it, move it. Now it's aligned. Center it again, move it, and move it. And now I can group them together, this one, right? Then click position. And then you can see here vertically or tidy up. Then we can tidy it up. Now it aligns itself to the position that it needs to be. So I just click tidy it up. And then that's the time that I align this to the center of the icon, like so. Right? And align the left side, same way. This one's going to be aligned on top. instead of on the right, because this is a kind of a separate content there. And then same way here, right? And as you can see, I can now remove this one. As you can see, there's sort of a tight spacing at the bottom here in this one because this is 2 lines. So I'm just going to highlight that one. And that's the time that I'm going to move everything a little bit upwards with the same spacing as the other ones. That way it's more readable. And then that's the time I'm going to move all of this, right? So it's easier to lock this place in first so that it doesn't move with the rest of the content when I highlight. So I can move it freely, right? Now I'm moving it freely. Now all I need to do is select everything here, group them together, and then just center it on this area here. I click it, I press shift so that I click the background and the grouped one, and then make sure that these are aligned to the center. In this case, as you can see, it's already aligned, right? But if you want to check it manually, you can still do that, the center align it. Then there you go, there you have it. And then my problem here now is the logo, right? So you have a register here now, or register now. It doesn't align with anything on the page, so I can drop this a little bit, right? Make it smaller, center of the body here, almost, without really dropping it on the side. So this time I'm just going to align it on this portion here, right? So I'm going to align this on this portion. Sorry about that. So as you can see, you can use the ruler that Canva provides, but in this case, I'm just doing what's easy for me quickly, right? And that's it. Then just use the arrow keys to align it on the center. And there you go. And then I have the client website here, right? I can drop it a little bit, make it a standard size, for example, of 18, right? Move it here. And then drop the client logo in this area here, make it a little bit smaller, right? Align it here, kind of emphasizes it, or even you can switch it, right? So because this is all the same lead, you can move it right here, put the client website here, and then put the logo here, right? And that way you can now adjust this for impact, right? Because you already use orange and the logo is orange, then probably what would wrap it up better is maybe use a lighter tone. You can test it, whatever you like here, or even just plain white, right? It looks cleaner that way. Or even use the hard blue that you have earlier, and then just change the text color for the orange. It's like swapping their position together, and there you go. All right. It looks more, it's cleaner, right? But if still the client really wants to use the what do you call this, the orange for this area, you can add something to the logo in this case. So let me shift that back to the original colors. Maybe the client has pre-approved that. For example, what you can do with the logo is add some sort of a background over it, either a circle. But the thing I use mostly is this. I write white circle gradient, right? And it gives me this. And then I just drop it to the size that I need it to be. And then I put it at the back of the logo and adjust accordingly. That way I have some sort of gradient there, right? But generally that's one approach for that logo area. Or you can select a logo that's reversed of the one that the client is currently using to make use of this area here. So that's the hard part. That's why I adjust the logo last, because usually you have to make sure that the logo of the client doesn't break on the style that you use. So in this case, I would rather prefer without it, without the kind of what do you call this, emphasis on there. Maybe one of the things I can do is use a circle shadow, for example. Select one that best fits this area. softer one, for example, a softer fade like this one, right? So I'd like to play around with it, then position it at the back of client's logo, and then adjust the transparency a little bit, make it not so much as dark as it is, and that looks way better than it was. So if you compare that with the old one, you have the old one here, right? This is the new one here, right? So what do you think? Which one does it make you feel it looks a little bit more organized and better in terms of how it's gonna be aligned and look, right? Okay, so that's the video for today. It took a while, but hey, if you like this video, click subscribe and the bell icon to be able to do that. Thanks for watching.